So now that we have our zero product rule, right? Remember, that's the rule that says if you have A times B equals zero, then one of those two things, A or B, has to be equal to zero, maybe both of them, right? That's what we're going to use as our fundamental tool for solving polynomial equations, right? So let's look at some examples of how we can do that. So to use our zero product rule, the first thing we need to do is make sure our equation is equal to zero, which this one already is, right? So we can move right ahead to the factoring stage. Now, the first thing that stands out to me when I look at this equation is that all three terms have an x, right? So I'm going to take that common factor, I'm going to factor it out, and that makes the equation x times 3x squared plus 13x plus 10 is equal to 0. Now, we're never really going to do anything with that equals 0, right? But I want you to make a point of making sure that you keep writing it on every line, right? Because I see students sometimes when they don't do that, they get so focused on getting through all the factoring that by the time they get to the end, they've forgotten that they're supposed to be solving an equation. And they kind of get lost and don't know where to go next. But keeping that equals 0 on the end, it's kind of just a little reminder to yourself what it is we're supposed to be doing here. All right, so my next step, I'm going to factor that 3x squared plus 13x plus 10. That's going to be 3x plus 10 times x plus 1 equals 0. Now, I'm going to take all three factors. Yeah, that x out in front, that x is a factor as well, right? So I'm going to set x equal to 0, 3x plus 10 equals 0, and x plus 1 equals 0. Then if I solve each of these smaller equations, the first hand one is already solved, right? X equals 0, that's just a number. The middle one, subtract 10 and divide by 3, that gives me negative 10 thirds. And the last one there gives me x equals negative 1. So those are the three solutions to this equation. So there are some pitfalls here with this one. One thing I see students do every once in a while with an equation like this is they'll say, well, okay, so either x equals 8 or x minus 2 equals 8, which means x equals 8 or x equals 10. But that doesn't work, and you can see that really quickly. If you try to check these answers, if you put 8 back into the left-hand side, you get 8 times 6, that's 48, not 8. Right? This zero product rule, 0 is a special number. This only works when the equation is equal to 0. All right, so that's going to be my first step. I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. So the equation becomes x times x minus 2 minus 8 equals 0. Now, this is not factored, right? It's not something times something equals 0. So I'm going to really kind of undo the partial factoring on the left-hand side. I'm going to make this x squared minus 2x minus 8 equals 0. Now I'm going to factor it again. X minus 4 times x plus 2. And now I can apply the zero product rule. I have something times something equals 0. So either x minus 4 equals 0 or x plus 2 equals 0. And that gives me two solutions, either x equals 4 or x equals negative 2.